Hello, welcome. This is the Resilient Rooster. I'm back with another Yu-Gi-Oh video, and today I'm going to be showcasing Mekk-Knights. So the previous video I made, Mekk-Knights got hit on the ban list, so it's kind of out of the water for that deck since you can't really use it as effectively. You can use the card Magical Contract Door to search it, but I didn't feel like it was that good since it relies that you have to get another spell card to your opponent's hand, and that's kind of too much. It's basically like a -2. So what I did instead was made like a Kaiju variation of the Mekk-Knights. And this deck, it works pretty well since you can just Kaiju whatever your opponent monster and put them in yours, like whatever zone that you want to. So that way you can just stack your opponent's field. That way you can just summon your Jack Knights and search as much cards as you want. You can also play cards like the Wide Kinetic Puppeteer. That way you can move their monsters. So this is probably like a good side card, or maybe you can main it. It just really depends on, your style of play. I think that the Kaiju is best since Game of Seal is a very good card. So you have 3 counters with Game of Seal. That's basically very good since you have a walking Solomon Judgment, right? You can just negate anything you want. And it also banishes it. So that's another plus. And I feel like we run like a lot of level 8 Kaijus. That way we can just run trade-ins. Maybe you can bump up the trade-ins to 3, but I feel 2 is enough. You want to see it, but you don't want to see it too much. And I feel like maybe you need 1 Whisper or 1 World Legacy Whisper. That way you can negate spells, because I feel like spells and traps or spells and monsters are the most important like negates that you want to do. The spell card it's okay, but it's not really required that much since it only negates traps. So against a trap build, you probably could side more of these. So overall, this is my deck, and it's works pretty well. So let's get right onto the replays. In these replays, I'll be playing against ABCs, and when you play, you usually want to go second, and that way you can try to catch your opponent off guard. But once they know that you're playing, Mekk-Knight's True Draco, Mekk-Knight's Kaijus, they'll probably let you go first. So when you want to, if you want to have a side deck, make sure you have cards that help you go first. So right now my opponent goes off. They did the combo with the Ancient Fairy Dragon, and they're going to end with the ABC Buster. And the good news is I have the Kaiju. So Kaiju is a very good way to deal with the ABCs. Right now they don't know that I have the ABCs yet, so I catch them off guard and I proceed to hopefully clear the field. One thing that I forgot though is that when you attack with the Doggeron, you can't use its effect. I wanted to use effect to remove 3 Kaijus to destroy the whole field, but I didn't have 3 counters at the time, only had 2. But right now I just searched with the Waterfront since I had 3 counters. And at this point I hope that I can survive. My opponent's Soul Charge, so they can't attack this turn. But I felt like they kind of messed up on their field placement. They could have waited to use the token until later, or like the effect to get a token until later. But right now they made the Warlord Dragon. And at this point, they're in a good shape. I feel like since they know I was playing Kaiju, they should have. Well, actually, no, they already had a Kaiju. That's why they didn't banish my card since there was no threat. But they forgot that the Star Destroying Kaiju has an effect. If 1 card is targeted, you can just remove 3. You can destroy any card on the field, which is very good because I basically it's a non-targeting removal. So I destroyed the Warlord Dragon, which was very hard to deal with since I don't have the attack points, since now it's only 2800. So I attack, I get the Waterfront token, so now I can do it again since there's 3 counters. And I believe, yes, my opponent made a play, try to come back. They're gonna make the ABC Buster Dragon, and ABC Buster Dragon is strong enough to attack, so they just attacked. They couldn't use the effect because I would have been able to negate it and just pop a card. So right now they got rid of my Waterfront, and at this point I feel like they should have tagged out. But they didn't tag out, so I just Kaiju'd, and at this point I just get advantage. Or I attempt to get advantage. I got Ghost Ogred, but now I make the number 62 Galaxy. I just keep, ranking up, and I do it so that way I can attack multiple times. And in the end, I got it. But I don't think it would have mattered if he tagged out, because I would have Game of Sealed 1, and then attack the same 2 monsters, and it would have been game regardless. In this next duel, my opponent goes first again, and they didn't open up a good hand. They only opened up a monster equip and basically set 1 and pass. They probably should have equipped it to a different zone, but I guess they forgot. So I summoned my Lavender Dust, it got warning, and I basically had to set 2 and pass. That's the problem with Jack Knights. You can only special summon them once per turn. And I didn't feel like it was worth it to special summon the other Jack Knights, but I probably should have. So I was able to stop the Twin Twister from happening, and now they are going off. They basically had enough to summon the ABC Buster Dragon. And at this point, I probably should have used my Jack Knights to search a card, because now they could get rid of my card. They could have chained and banished. I'm not sure why they didn't. And at this point, they almost had game. I only have 1300 life points left. So my Dust came back, and now they can't use the banish effect since I would be able to chain away. And at this point, I did what I said in the beginning of the video. You kaiju and you place them anywhere you want, and I got to search 2. And at this point, I got to clear the field. And I'm making a comeback at this point. They do have a kaiju, which is 2800, which is a beast stick, but I can search a kaiju next turn. Well, unless they remove the 2 counters. So I was kind of slow at this point, but I was able to just move it, negate. They probably should have just summoned something and then equipped it. But I guess they forgot. And then they attacked and I got rid of my monsters. So I have 1 counter, but now Lavender Dust, I get the 2 monsters back. So that was very good. I used my blue skies, just search and just keep getting advantage. And at this point, I made the Jack Knight's World Scar just to get over the kaiju, since this is very beefy. And now I can summon my Game of Seal, and I set up this lock where they can't use spells, traps in certain areas, and now I have the Game of Seal, which basically negates any, any card. And at this point, I just go for a game. I feel like the Kaiju Mekk-Knight is probably the better version to play if you're playing Mekk-Knights at all, since the Kaijus can out any card, and since the Jack Knights are all one type like Psychic, you can basically make Akshan Magician and just bounce it back to your hand. And the other cool thing too is that when you link summon, you can get counters equal to the number that went to the graveyard to make your link summon. So if you make Underclock Taker, you can basically get 2 tokens, or not 2 tokens, 2 counters. And you only need 3 to search. And when you search, it doesn't remove the counters. It adds up. And if it gets destroyed, then you basically can just remove 1 counter instead. So that's very good. But at this point, I skipped my Waterfront and they immediately banished and tagged out, which was good because they know that I'm playing Kaiju at this point. So I upstart and I got the water out of the slumber, so rip. And now I basically can make it to where, since my Doggeran is level 8, I can make basically the level 8 XZs, and the level 8 XZs can basically attack all the cards, right? If you just break it up to number 95, that'd be the best scenario. But they had skill drain, so it stopped me from making the plays that I want to make. Now I just attack and just try to window their resources. And at this point, they do still have access to the ABCs, which is good for them. They can make the Clifford Genius, but right now, since the skill drain was out before the Clifford Genius is negated. And at this point, they just attacked me, and at this point, it's kind of hard for me to come back. They even have a Monster Reborn, just in case the ABC Buster dies. I do have the Slumber, or not the Slumber from the grave, so I searched the Game of Seal, they banished, and they tagged out. So I think they ran out of all their ABC Buster Dragons, since that's the 3rd one. All I have to worry now is just get rid of all their resources, because they can't make the ABC Buster from the extra deck. They got the Monster Reborn, which was very cool on their part, since they can out my monster, since it was just 24, but my trap card saved me since it boosts by 1k. And skill drain is out, so they basically means that they can't really do much. Their 1 card basically stopped them from doing what they wanted to do. They probably would have game if their skill drain wasn't there. So it's pretty nuts that this deck can, float around skill drain. It doesn't really float around that big, but you can at least get big monsters while skill drain's on the field. They should have outed the skill drain instead of my Waterfront. I'm not sure why they did that. I guess they didn't realize that they can pop their own card. And at this point, I basically can just search and Kaiju and attack for, or not attack for game, but since this has 4 counters, I can basically search in the next turn and just game them this turn. My goal right now is just to survive. If I can survive, it basically means that I can just attack over next time. Since skill drain is up, the board load can't use the negative 500 or the minus 500. And I just search my biggest Kaiju and just attack for a game. Since these replays are a bit longer than usual, this will be the last replay, and my opponent gets to go first again, and this time I had some hand traps to disrupt them. My opponent has a Solomon Judgment, so Solomon Judgment is pretty good if you negate the right card. So you have to be smart when you use Solomon Judgment, since if you use it incorrectly, that 4K could end up biting you. So right now, I basically met the Archon Magician, I bounced it back, and my opponent did a very good job in not using the Solomon Judgment, because me just attacking wouldn't do that much damage compared to 4K. You want to use the Solomon Judgment like as a last resort. So my opponent gets over my Archon Magician, and basically I have to grind from here. I summoned the Jack Knight Kobold Knight, but I didn't have game. If I had game, I would probably Gamma Seal them, summon Gondaria, but right now, it's not enough. Plus, they also have the Solomon Judgment to negate anything if I do anything rash. So my opponent, they just got the ABC Buster material. They summoned in defense mode by accident, I believe. But they probably might not have mattered, since they would have to use their ABC Buster to banish my face down anyway. I was able to Gamma Seal the ABC Buster and just attack over. That's why I sort of like the Kaiju build, since you can get rid of any single card. So they had the resource to summon another ABC Buster, but this time I know that they think I have a Kaiju in my hand. I tried to Kaiju them and summon my own, but they had Solomon Judgment, and they used that correctly, right? They only had 800 life points, so they only lost 400. And this is the part where I basically didn't have anything to stop my opponent, and my opponent basically won. When I saw that Monster Reborn, I basically knew that it was game, since I didn't have any cards in my hand and they basically had enough for a game. That's it for the replays. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button. If you want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh content, please click the subscribe button. Thank you for watching and have a great day.